sunny summer day. We were the only ones on Little Bear Lake. And we had our lunch, and after lunch, she put on her white bathing cap. We walked into the water together. We kept going out until it was past where I could stand, and she's holding me. And then she extended her arms, grabbed me by the wrists. And began to spin me around and around and around. And I just remember looking at her and her smiling at me. I know I was smiling and giggling and just happy and content. And it was like we were the only two people in the world. And that was okay with me. And that's my earliest memory of my mom. Who was here for Dad's service back on January 31st? Wow, welcome back, everybody. 11 days after that, it was a Sunday. The only reason we didn't take Mom to the emergency department at ORMC the night before was because that was Saturday night. And who wants to go to the emergency department at ORMC on a Saturday night? That's right, no one. So we waited until Sunday, and within an hour of when we got there, they had done a CT scan, and they revealed to us that Mom had stage 4 cancer. We didn't even know she had cancer. The next day, I was with her in the hospital room, and those of you that were here before, this is just a little refresher, I guess. At Dad's service, I had asked him, how do you feel on the day that we had decided we were going to call hospice? And he had just shared the word peace. And everything about what I shared during Dad's service was about what would you or I say in that moment. We know that our life is coming to an end. What are our feelings at that point? He had said peace, so I thought, well, I learned something from Dad. Let me find out what Mom has to say. And I said, Mom, how do you feel? As people have already alluded to or outright said, two very different people. Two very different reactions. I remember somebody got up from Vitas Hospice and said, Roger was so wonderful. Most people complain. He has a patient, he'd never complain. I'm not about to stand up here and say, Mom never complained. Anyway, we'll leave that there. But I said, Mom, how do you feel? And she said, what, you mean about having stage 4 cancer? About knowing I'm going to die? Yeah, that. She said, I'm happy. I'm relieved. I'm ready. And those of you that knew them over the years, and some of you knew them all 52 years that they were married, and they started attending here the year before they married in 1964, could attest to the fact that what I felt, it was weird seeing Mom without Dad. When he died, seeing her alone, it was devastating. So when she told me she was ready to go, I really felt that. And trust me, that's not the only time that she shared it with me. And I really appreciate all the sentiments and everything that everybody has said, because I can just again say it again to what everybody has said. I thought about Dad's legacy. And if Dad's legacy was friendliness and openness to others, Mom was compassion and connection. And I'm really glad that John talked about the hospital visitation, because that's part of the why. Why did they do that? And there's another why, too. It talks about in the program, and we've already talked about this, the fact that she was part of the original administration at FTU back in the 60s before it became UCF. Actually, when she was pregnant with me, her boss said, and she said, well, I'm going to stop working to go have my son, to raise my son. That's what I want to do. And he said, well, you've got a 4-drawer filing cabinet here. That bottom one might double as a bassinet. And she was not open to that idea. But she could have had a very, very successful and lucrative career, I have no doubt, at UCF. She could have been a career woman. Around the same time, IBM was courting her and wanted her to come to Atlanta. But she had grown up with a dad who was an extremely successful businessman in Manchester, Kentucky. And also, on the day that she graduated from high school, looked at her and cried and said, I missed seeing you grow up. Because he would be gone in the morning before she woke up, and he would get home after she was already in bed. And she knew she wanted a man that would put family before career, and she got that in Dad. And she knew that she wanted to put family first. So all of the energies that she could have put into a career, she put into us as a family. And she was there for us at every step of the way. So, the day before she died, I took the hymnal. They actually gave me a hymnal. I said, we don't really use the hymnals in this church anymore. So if you want to take the hymnal that you had for your dad's service, you can take it. I said, okay. And I threw it on the shelf. And the whole week Mom was in hospice. She was in hospice for 8 days. I thought, I should take that hymnal and sing to her. And by Thursday, she passed on Saturday. By Thursday morning, she was unresponsive. And I went home and I went to bed that night. And I got up in the morning and I said, why have I not taken this hymnal? So I took the hymnal Friday morning. And I started with the 4 hymns that we had sang at Dad's service. And then I just went to the start of the hymnal. Oh, for 1,000 tongues to sing is the first song, in case you're wondering what it is. And I just began to go, and for hours, I would just go to whatever the next one was that I did. Meanwhile, John's there, he's putting the slides together in a very wonderful way. And I'm just singing. With the faith that, supposedly, they could hear. The morning after she passed, I remember kind of wistfully glancing up, and I said, all right, God, was that more for her? Was that more for me? Because I felt a groundedness and a connection to God just in doing that. And that afternoon, I got a text message from a mentor of mine. And it was very powerful because it's one of these things, I was doing the best I could, I just didn't know how I did. And here's what he wrote to me. Be good to yourself now. You have been giving and giving to your mom and dad for a long time. I don't believe you could have given them any better gift at the end of their lives than what you did. So with the grief that will come, know there is also comfort in what you gave to them. And that was powerful. Amy, my girlfriend, had been asking me since December. She had this training in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and she said, can you go with me? I don't know. Dad's pre-leukemia condition became leukemia. He's dying. I don't know. I can't say anything about tomorrow. And then Dad passed, and we find out Mom has cancer. Now it's February. Now it's March. And she's saying, what about Santa Fe? I don't know. The morning after Mom died, I looked at her and I said, I'm going to Santa Fe with you. And I did. And it was a wonderful trip. And it was 2 weeks ago yesterday, 5 p.m. Santa Fe time. I'm at 6,200 feet. But just 2 feet off the ground, I'm in this bright orange hammock between 2 cottonwood trees. And I'm looking up through the branches, and there are 3 black hawks circling overhead in a seemingly clear blue sky. And I called this friend of mine, who I also consider a mentor. He had called to ask me how Mom was doing. It wasn't the only message I had like that, so I called him back to let him know Mom's doing great. She passed away 8 days before, so she's doing better than ever. But I called and just told him that she had passed. And his first thought was to say, oh, I'm so sorry. But he bit his tongue because he told me later after I shared how I felt. He said, I didn't say anything because I wondered maybe it's a relief. And I shared with him that was exactly what my feeling was it was a relief. Because I knew she wanted to be with Dad. She was ready to go. And he said, you know, Jeff, there's this dynamic. When a kid is born, the parents take care of that child because they can't take care of themselves. And then the kid grows up. And then the parents at some point become old, infirm, they can't take care of themselves. And the kid steps in, or the kids step in and take care of him at that time. And he said, that's what you've done. And it's called completing the circle of love. And I just laid there in that hammock, and I just smiled. And I'm not very often at a loss for words, but I was at a loss for words. I said, oh my gosh, wow, He said, Jeff, what I just did was I just put words to the experience that you've been having in the recent months. And I said, that's exactly right. And I said, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about at Mom's service, but I know I'm going to title it Completing the Circle of Love. So I'm grateful for my mom's legacy. And I want to challenge each of us, myself included, to see not just within family, but what circles of love can we complete.